What's Robert Jackson mean to you? You're part of a sequence, a continuum of Nuremberg, and again, part of Yugoslavia, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, so on. What's the Jackson legacy, if any, mean to Hans Corell?
Remember that the record upon which we judge these defendants is the same record upon which posterity will judge our performance. Those words are etched in my memory from his first pleading towards the end before the court, the tribunal in Nuremberg. I have visited the courtroom in Nuremberg, and I've also, for that matter, visited the courtroom in Tokyo during a visit there. I can tell you frankly, if you just asked the young judge, Hans Corell, back in the 1960s, what I thought about international courts, I would have been very hesitant. This is extremely complex. There will be a lot of political reverberation around this and so forth. So I was rather, shall we say, hesitant. I changed my mind when I was a war crimes rapporteur for former Yugoslavia. And I saw these devastated people, the old woman with her eyes just empty, pulling a charge with some meaningless things on the roadside outside Vukovar. Who did this to her? And I realized you are the war crimes rapporteur. So we went back and almost wrote in a fury a proposal that you should appoint a group of lawyers to draft the statute. Now, they didn't do that, and then we offered to do it, which they accepted. And then when I got involved in this way, I started going back, of course, to Nuremberg. And I knew, of course, Robert Jackson, but I started looking closer at it. And then I read the anatomy of the Nuremberg Tribunal by
Telford Taylor.
Telford Taylor,
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, I read that with great interest also. So to me, this came to mean a lot, and especially these words, because it's been a lot of talk about victor's justice, and in a sense it was. But when I discussed this, I said, well, how about the trials as they were effected? Because the judges and the prosecutor, they had to operate under the rules that were given. But then the performance, I think, we have to say that the trials were fair. Of course, the death penalty, that I have very strong views about, as you understand from my discussions in Rwanda. But I can tell you, I was also asked, after I had retired from the United Nations, to participate in the education of the judges of the Special Court for Iraq. And I was very hesitant, and actually people in Sweden, the media, when they heard I would participate in this exercise, they said, well, Hans Corell is educating judges who can administer the death penalty. But I mean, if I would use that measure, I would stop educating American judges who visit The Hague. There is a special institute that takes them to The Hague, right. And I always come there to give sort of an umbrella lecture on international law for them. And these judges can administer the death penalty. What I can do is, of course, to express my very firm opinion about the death penalty. But coming back to the Iraq Special Court, they, of course, could administer the death penalty. But I said, if I don't do this, well, I think that's wrong. It's better to engage with them. And I did. And we had working groups, and they had moot trials, not of Saddam Hussein, that wouldn't have been appropriate, but we had moot cases, and they were performing, and we were discussing the teachers. And when I left from them, I gave them the quote from Robert Jackson that I actually quoted, and I had it translated into Arabic. And I told them, look, you have to be absolutely independent. You must not allow anyone to influence you. It's extremely important.